Have you ever felt like the harder you try, the further you get from your goal? Like pushing against the tide instead of letting it carry you? There's a concept in Taoist philosophy that challenges our modern obsession with effort and control. It's called Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. In this video, we'll explore what Wu Wei truly means, why it's so misunderstood, and how it can transform your life. From reducing stress to making better decisions, Wu Wei offers a powerful perspective on navigating the world. But to fully grasp it, we need to begin at its roots. The concept of Wu Wei comes from Taoism, a philosophy founded by Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching. Taoism emphasizes living in harmony with the natural flow of the universe, known as the Tao. Lao Tzu's writings weren't intended as strict doctrines. They are poetic reflections on life, offering guidance on how to move with the currents of existence instead of struggling against them. At the heart of these teachings is Wu Wei. While it's often translated as non-action or effortless action, neither definition fully captures its essence. Wu Wei doesn't mean doing nothing. Instead, it means acting without unnecessary force. Imagine water flowing through a river. It doesn't fight the rocks in its path. It moves around them. It adapts, yielding when necessary. Yet over time, it can carve through stone. This is Wu Wei in its purest form: softness overcoming hardness, effortlessness achieving results. Lao Tzu famously said, "Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it." A well-known story from the text, Zhuangzi, brings Wu Wei to life. Cook Ding was a simple butcher, but his skill in cutting meat was extraordinary. When asked how he performed with such grace, Cook Ding explained that he never forced his knife through the bones. Instead, he allowed the natural spaces in the meat to guide him. He said, "I follow the Tao, which goes beyond skill." When I first began, all I saw was the carcass, but now I see with my spirit. I let my blade find its way. This story captures the essence of Wu Wei. It's not about struggling for control. It's about trusting the flow and responding with ease. But if Wu Wei is so natural, why is it so difficult to practice? The answer lies in our tendency to resist the flow of life. We live in a society that glorifies constant effort. Productivity is often seen as the ultimate measure of success. Hustle culture tells us that we need to work harder, push further, and grind our way to happiness. But this mindset comes at a cost: burnout, stress, and a disconnect from the present moment. Wu Wei challenges this belief. It asks us to pause and consider, are we truly in control? Or are we simply exhausting ourselves in a battle against forces we cannot change? This isn't to say that effort is meaningless. Wu Wei doesn't reject action. It rejects forced action. It's about recognizing when effort becomes resistance and knowing when to step back. You may be wondering, how can you apply Wu Wei in your own life? Here are some practical examples. 1. Decision making. When faced with a tough choice, we often overthink and analyze every possible outcome. Wu Wei encourages us to step back and allow clarity to emerge naturally. Sometimes, when we stop forcing a decision, the right path becomes clear. This is especially true for decisions rooted in uncertainty. Relationships, career changes, or creative pursuits. 2. Relationships. In relationships, Wu Wei is about releasing control. We often try to change or fix others, believing we know what's best. But true harmony comes from acceptance. When we practice Wu Wei, we listen without judgment, respond with patience, and allow people to be themselves. This reduces conflict and deepens our connections. 3. Work and creativity. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come when you're not trying? Maybe while taking a walk or lying in bed. That's Wu Wei in action. Creativity thrives when we loosen our grip. Writers, artists, and musicians often describe moments of flow, where ideas seem to pour effortlessly. By stepping away from the pressure to create, we allow inspiration to arise naturally. While Wu Wei is rooted in Taoism, its principles echo through other philosophies. The Stoics spoke of accepting what is beyond our control. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." While Stoicism emphasizes inner resilience, Wu Wei encourages external harmony. Both teach us to respond to life with grace and acceptance. Zen practices often involve zazen, or sitting meditation. The goal is not to control thoughts, but to observe them without resistance. A clear embodiment of Wu Wei. Through Zen, we learn that by letting go, clarity and insight arise naturally. There are several common misconceptions about Wu Wei that we need to address. The most pervasive one is that Wu Wei means doing nothing. Many people believe that if you practice Wu Wei, you become passive, inactive, or even lazy. This couldn't be further from the truth. Wu Wei isn't about avoiding effort. It's about acting with ease, without unnecessary force or struggle. It's about finding the path of least resistance and moving with the flow of life, rather than fighting against it. It's not about shirking responsibilities or simply waiting for things to happen. Consider the natural world. A tree doesn't try to grow. It simply grows, responding to the sunlight, water, and soil around it. The tree isn't lazy. It's aligned with its environment. Wu Wei is the conscious alignment with the natural flow of life. It's about knowing when to push forward and when to let go. Another common misunderstanding is that Wu Wei suggests avoiding hard work or any challenging endeavor. This is untrue as well. Think about a great artist or athlete. They still put in immense effort. But the difference is in how they engage with that effort. They don't fight or resist their natural abilities. Instead, they allow their work to flow, allowing skill and inspiration to guide them. Thus, Wu Wei isn't about avoiding hard work. It's about finding a balance where effort doesn't feel like a burden, but rather a natural extension of your purpose and desires. Now, let's talk about how you can start practicing Wu Wei in your daily life. The goal is not to change everything overnight, but to slowly integrate this philosophy into your routines and decision-making. By doing so, you'll likely find that life becomes more harmonious, and you'll feel less stressed and overwhelmed. Here are 4 key points to try. 1. Mindful breathing. One of the most accessible ways to practice Wu Wei is through mindful breathing. This is a simple yet profound practice where you take a moment to observe your breath, noticing the in and out flow. By focusing on the breath, you anchor yourself in the present moment, which is the key to experiencing Wu Wei. When your mind is calm and still, the world begins to feel less chaotic. You can respond with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. This exercise helps you tune into your natural rhythm, just like the flow of water in a stream. 2. Flow activities. Another way to practice Wu Wei is through engaging in flow activities. These are activities where you lose track of time and become fully immersed. This could be anything from painting, running, playing music, or even something simple like cooking. The key is that you're not forcing yourself, but instead, you're responding to the activity with ease and engagement. As you do this, you'll notice that the boundaries between effort and ease begin to blur. you'll reach a point where the activity is no longer about the outcome, but about enjoying the process itself. 3. Observing nature. Nature is a perfect teacher when it comes to Wu Wei. Spend time in nature, whether it's a park, a forest, or simply a garden. Observe how everything flows without force, how the trees grow, how rivers carve through rocks, how animals move through their habitats. Take a moment to reflect on how nature doesn't rush, but still accomplishes its goals. When you observe nature, you'll notice that things seem to unfold in their own time. By observing this process, you begin to internalize the natural flow of life, which is essential for practicing Wu Wei in your own life. 4. Journaling and reflection. A practical tool for integrating Wu Wei into your life is journaling. Take some time each day to reflect on your experiences and actions. You could ask yourself questions like, where in my life am I trying to force outcomes? What areas of my life could I let go of control and trust the process? How can I respond more naturally to the challenges I face? Journaling like this allows you to deepen your awareness and better understand where you might be resisting the natural flow of life. Over time, you'll notice patterns, and with that awareness, you'll be able to shift toward more effortless action. Interestingly, there is a psychological concept that mirrors Wu Wei, the flow state. The term flow was coined by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi to describe a mental state where a person is fully immersed in an activity with a sense of effortless concentration and enjoyment. In a flow state, time seems to disappear and you feel deeply connected to the task at hand. The flow state shares several key characteristics with Wu Wei. Complete absorption in the task without conscious effort, a sense of ease and enjoyment, even in challenging situations, a feeling of alignment with the activity, where action feels natural and spontaneous. Csikszentmihalyi's research shows that when people are in a flow state, they are at their most productive and creative. This aligns perfectly with the Taoist philosophy of Wu Wei. When we let go of forced effort, we open the door to natural creativity and productivity. You've probably experienced a state of flow in your own life. Maybe it happened while writing, painting, dancing, or even in a conversation. Flow occurs when you stop struggling against the task and allow yourself to be fully present in the moment. This, in essence, is Wu Wei, allowing yourself to act without trying too hard. One of the most powerful lessons that Wu Wei offers is the recognition that the desire for control is often an illusion. As humans, we are conditioned to believe that we must control every outcome in our lives. We plan, we strategize, and we try to micromanage every detail. But life has a way of surprising us. The more we try to force things into place, the more we find ourselves frustrated when things don't go as planned. Wu Wei teaches us to let go of this need for control. Instead of pushing, we learn to align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life. In Taoism, this is known as Taoist surrender, the understanding that the universe has its own intelligence. And sometimes, the best action is to step aside and trust it. This doesn't mean becoming passive or complacent. It means recognizing that there are forces beyond our control, and trying to control them only leads to suffering. By releasing the need to control everything, we open ourselves up to greater possibilities and more fulfilling outcomes. Consider a river. It doesn't fight against the rocks or obstacles in its path. Instead, it yields, adapts, and moves around them. The river never tries to force the rock out of its way. It simply flows. In the same way, we can learn to navigate life's obstacles by yielding rather than resisting. As we conclude, let's reflect. Where in your life do you feel the need to control everything? What areas of your life could benefit from a little more flow and surrender? How can you begin to trust the process and allow things to unfold naturally? Wu Wei isn't about doing nothing. It's about acting in alignment with the natural flow of life. It's about responding with grace, patience, and trust, knowing that the universe is already moving in the right direction. The more you practice Wu Wei, the more you'll realize that sometimes the less you push, the more you accomplish.